Good morning, everyone. I wanted to kind of do a deeper dive into what I'm working on. I acknowledge that there are things going on in the world and people are waking up to what's going on. And, you know, how can I explain this? What a lot of people are talking about is replacing the system, because they're starting to acknowledge and recognize that it's coercive and abusive and controlled by global elitists and parasites. What I'm working on is a level of healing and sovereignty that goes beyond surrendering our power and authority to a state. So when I speak of sovereignty, what I'm talking about is physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual sovereignty. And this requires a level of knowledge, healing, experience, support, encouragement, acknowledgement. And this isn't going to come from the state or some sort of external authority. This comes from within, because I'm looking to connect to this kingdom, not their kingdoms, not a fictional construct that people create to govern others. So, about a month ago, I did a recording, an hour and a quarter video about my idea to start training to help people connect with this way of life. And it's going to require getting onto the land and experiencing it, full immersion. But I know people are busy, people have jobs, they still trying to survive and make the cash flow so that they can buy the resources they need in order to live, because of their dependency on the system. So my thought was, well, let's train like martial artists do and connect every few days a week or a few weekends a month to start training and build the self-confidence, build the knowledge, build the experience and the wisdom, but also build the relationships that we need in order to navigate this. What I've found in my experience is that we are tribal people. That's our nature. And I personally can't navigate thousands, 100,000s, or millions of relationships. It's not possible, because I'm also looking for connection and I'm looking for intimacy, and that can only be done through a small group of people. And navigating this means that I have to set some boundaries and say, you know what, I can't interact with everyone, but I can interact with a small group of people. And so, that's why I'm working on building relationships so that I can start restoring our tribes, specifically restore my tribe. And, I need a lodge. I need to build a lodge so that I have space to be able to hold space for this training, for reestablishing these relationships, for being able to make connections at this level. And through that, we can then start helping each other build that physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual sovereignty. The state is never going to do that. The state actually has a purpose, and that is to ensure that nobody is violating others. But they do that through a monopoly on coercion and violence. And what I'm looking to do is build relationships that transcend this need for violence and have this beautiful connection and intimacy and freedom to be able to navigate that. But that requires that we're all healthy and that we have the space and the capacity to be able to communicate and resolve our conflicts. Because in the end, we're here to explore what it is to be human, and human has frailties. We do have issues with, making mistakes, and, we all have shadows to work on, and, healing to do. And, we're trying to integrate all of these complex things. And that can't be governed through statutes and regulations and bylaws and charters and that sort of thing. In the end, this is my kingdom that I need to learn how to govern. And I want to support others who are looking to do the same. And when we do that, we don't need any of those fictional constructs, because now each individual has the skills and ability to navigate relationships and conflict and explore what that means on an individual by individual basis. And I acknowledge that we need to build bridges to be able to get there. And so if people want to walk away from the current system and build a new system, so be it. I'm not going to judge. I'm not going to criticize that, because I acknowledge that what I'm talking about is going to take years. It may even take generations. I don't know. But in the meantime, how do we get there? Well, for me, I'm willing to start training people, start having full immersion experiences to be able to navigate this. But I also need help too, because I can't do this by myself. So I'm going to share the links to the video, which goes into way more detail in regards to what I'm looking at doing. It's one of the reasons why I don't participate in organizations or communities, because I'm looking at building something far deeper, far more spiritual, and way more intimate than what I've witnessed in other communities, and especially political body politics. So I hope that clarifies what I'm doing. I know it can be confusing, especially for people that are just waking up to what's happening in the world and looking for alternatives. Lots of talk about intentional communities and that kind of stuff. But what I'm looking at is far deeper than that, because this requires physical health, emotional health, which is one of the reasons why I do the Sacred Heart Circles, because I've found every time I've attempted this in the past, it's always been sabotaged by unhealed trauma, unintegrated shadows, and even colonial constructs. So I'm looking for people that want to do the work to heal on all four levels, to be able to connect to that divine masculine, that divine feminine energy, and navigate this in a healthy way without the need of writing all this down in codified rules and regulations. because what I'm seeing is that when we connect in tribe in a healthy way, it's dynamic. It automatically morphs and adjusts to different situations, and whether people are coming or going, or people get sick, or people are having babies, or children are growing up, or adults are getting older, moving into different phases of life, and all that kind of stuff. Life is very dynamic. It's always fluctuating, and being able to have the skills to be able to navigate this is going to be important. And that's the level of work that I want to do with people. That's what tribe is all about. Tribe supports and encourages this level of dynamic fluctuation in life, and it's impossible for the state to do that. This has to be taken up by each individual to be able to navigate this. And tribe building can support that. And if we can restore our tribes, we can then stand in that physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual sovereignty, because in the end, the kingdom is within. And I believe we're here to learn how to govern and manage that kingdom. And that means I have to find a way to have a sacred partnership between my spiritual body and my physical body, sacred partnership between my mind and my heart, between the masculine and the feminine, and build containers to be able to hold that. So I built a container for me. I'm learning to build containers to be able to hold the sacredness of divine feminine. And now I want to work with other men and women to build tribal containers. And I need other people that know how to build these containers in order to do that. That's the work that I'm working on. And I hope this resonates with people and clarifies what I'm attempting to do here. And I thank you all for watching and for following these videos. I'm appreciating the comments and questions that people are asking from the videos. It helps me to be able to clarify, and I hope this brings clarity. And yeah, thank you to the hundreds of people that are watching these, and I love you. I pray that we can navigate this and build bridges so that we can welcome people in as they escape this violent, abusive system that's literally sacrificing people, and this is not okay. So thank you for helping me build these bridges. Have a wonderful day.